So what have you got from the
Yeah,
Emmett Fox?
okay, I'm just going to ask us to still ourselves for a moment, and then I'll read the Emmett Fox reading, and we can dive in. The title of the Emmett Fox reading is Now is Your Time. Take therefore no thought of the morrow, for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Whoa. Okay, that was from Matthew chapter 6, verse 34. Always remember that the only thought that you need to concern yourself with is the present time. The thoughts of yesterday or of last year do not matter now, because if you can get the present thought right, it will make everything else right here and now. The best way to prepare for tomorrow is to make today's consciousness serene and harmonious. Never go delving in your mind to look for troubles to pray about. Deal faithfully with those that bring themselves to your attention, and hidden things will be taken care of. Now is your time.
Thank you. So now we're honored that Lori Kay is going to do the talk today.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be here tonight. I am so glad. This is this is amazing what you just read. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I want to talk about God's language, or how we actually can live our oneness with divinity, however we describe it, however we think about it, now and now and now and now and now and now and now. We have a tendency to think that we have to heal before we get to do that, or we have to pay dues, or that we have to be worthy of. There's lots of different ways that we tell ourselves we have to wait. It's not because we've lost our minds. It's not because we're not intelligent. It's how we've been trained to think. And so all of the talks I give are really about how we can look at things in a different way, so that we can give ourselves other ways to uplift ourselves. And today's is, I think, the most on point talk that I've given, so I'm pretty excited about it. And it's going to be a little bit interactive. For those of you who are on screen, I'll be asking you either to hold up one finger or two. I'll be asking you some questions. Do you want number 1 or number 2? If you want to answer and you're not on screen, you're not showing, you can always do that with the little emojis at the bottom. Okay, so what the heck do I mean by God's language? You know, I like to define things because otherwise we don't know what the heck we're talking about. So God's language. We are used to thinking of God's language as things like love and compassion and forgiveness, things like this. We're used to that. But I find that a great deal of the time, those are not concepts that are easy for us to apply. I like to think that we're supposed to actually apply God's languaging to every moment that we choose, so that we can be experiencing divinity in a number of ways at any moment we choose, which really helps us emotionally, physically, vibrationally, psychologically. So let me get a little more specific, because that sounds a little like, what is happening? So the point of God's language is, here, I got to reduce this so I can't look at you. I'm sorry, but I have to read this stuff. Okay. What God's language is those words, those perspectives, those internal images And those internal meanings, the meanings that you have internalized or that you are choosing, all of those words, perspectives, images, and meanings that strengthen you. Okay, let me say it again. It's those words, perspectives, internal images, and internal meanings that strengthen you, that make you feel, you know what I'm going to say, just 1% better. Okay, so here come the questions. And I'm going to ask you to make some choices here. So here's the question. Number one would be a choice between, is God now? Just go with the question. Is God now, which would be one, or is God later for you? Which is it for you? Okay, these answers are for you. They're not for me. So is God now or is God later? Next question. Which would you prefer? Would you prefer to know that you're made of God stuff, which is alive and pulsing at you from within like a lighthouse? That's number one. Or number two, would you prefer to see yourself as sort of the boat out on the choppy water trying to get to the lighthouse and maybe sometimes seeing the light from the lighthouse? Which would you prefer? Next question. Would you like to keep fixing yourself? This is something I'm still getting over, this idea that there's something wrong with me and I have to fix me. But would you like to keep fixing yourself? Or would you prefer to allow your magnificence to sort of bubble up through you, regardless of whether you're feeling particularly in need of fixing or not? So fixing or allowing your magnificence. And the last thing, it came from Teresa, who I was talking with today. She was saying something to me about working towards something. And I said, I really think that I don't agree with the whole concept. And let me ask you this question. Would you like to think that you are consistently working towards the goal of experiencing your oneness with divinity? Or would you prefer to think that you are practicing feeling it now? So why am I asking these crazy questions, and what is the common factor in all three of them? The common factor has to do with choice. It has to do with the quality of the language, the strengthening ability of what comes to your mind as you hear each option, and how you made those choices, how you chose between one or another. Now, if you are choosing from your emotion is always now, always right now. So with each question, one answer should have made you feel stronger and the other should have made you feel weaker. And chances are good, I wasn't watching your answers, but chances are good that you chose the stronger, right? So God's language is not just the ones that we know so well. It's not only love and forgiveness and compassion. God is what we are infused with. It's what we are made of. And that means that we have complete and total access, but we do have to let ourselves sort of lower ourselves into that pool of warmth. We have to lower ourselves into that. And as long as we're trying to work towards it, we're not able to just sit down. So a lot of time, and this is just one kind of God talk, and then I'm going to give you a second that you can use on your own that I think is magic. I know it's magic. It's really changed my life. But this kind is like, what is the meaning of the words that we're using for ourselves? So for instance, I'm looking for work. If I find a job that I think is really awesome, and I say, oh, I hope I can get that job, I'm aware of how I feel now when I say that. I hope I can get that job. And I can tell that there is like a little bit of heaviness in there. There's the word hope has self-doubt in it for me. And that doesn't help me show up as my best when I go to that interview. So I need to reframe so that I feel strengthened. Now, when it comes to things like I hope, we think, well, I'm being honest. I'm telling you, I don't know what's going to happen. So I have to say, I hope, because I'm being honest. But honest is not the highest goal in terms of how you are getting yourself to be lifted, into getting yourselves to lower into that pool of godness, of self-care and love and self-support, kindness to yourself. So the way I reframe it is, oh my God, this job sounds perfect for me. I almost said is perfect. It sounds perfect for me because, to be truthful, I don't know if they're the right place for me yet. But the description, I'm going to go and I'm going to show them how freaking fabulous I am. Now, all of that makes me feel lit up. And that's what I base everything on. And it's quite a shift when you start looking at God's languaging from that perspective, because now you're not as focused on the outside. Now it's not that you don't exist and only the outside is the thing that can ping back to you whether you are around or not, or worthy or not, or important or not. Now it's, how do I feel and how does it impact my life? Let me give you an example. If you have ever been in a room with people where you felt really comfortable, you really liked them, and you could tell that they were relaxed too, they liked you, everybody was cool, you can feel how your body feels strong. You feel aligned, you feel relaxed. Alternatively, if you're in a room with somebody who makes you feel like they're just they're the person that you're supposed to kowtow to, or they scare you for some reason, they give you some kind of a sense of insecurity, your body tends to sort of draw in. And those of you here who do muscle testing understand this quite well. And it is something to pay attention to as you go through your day. Which people that you're around make you feel like, okay, I'm okay in this moment. I feel a little stronger. And which people make you feel like, oh, I don't know. Because I think you might also have noticed that when you feel really, really good, lots of better things come to you. When we focus on feeling really, really bad, not so many great things come to us. And the key to this is our emotion. It's absolutely our emotion. And here's the other piece I want to express to you is that positive emotion is 10,000 times stronger than negative. 10,000 times more stronger, more stronger, 10,000 times stronger. So what does that mean? That means if you spend even 5 minutes a day letting yourself feel as if, for me, oh, I have the job, I'm fine, I feel great. You know, that aligns me with possibilities that I didn't have before. It wipes out the negativity, and it gives me the added bonus of right now I'm in alignment with my divinity because I feel good. God didn't send you here to feel bad, right? So when I'm feeling good, that's a good thing. That's a good thing for so many reasons. So I want to introduce you to a thought. I know Leah knows about this stuff. Abraham Hicks has a practice called upstream, downstream. And I think this is brilliant stuff because what it does is it keeps you in the now. It keeps you humble with yourself. In other words, it keeps you very honest. And it gives you the opportunity to permanently change your alignment, your point of attraction. Okay. As somebody who struggled with depression for over 30 years, I can tell you that my point of attraction now is so different. And it's not because I spent so much time in therapy. Therapy saved my life, but it never up-leveled my life. But this stuff does. This stuff does. Okay, so I realized just the other day that I was stumbling over something that I had stumbled over for a long time. And I mean, like the rest of my life. And it's, I can't, just two little words, I can't. And I looked back at my life and I thought, okay, that does sound like what's been stopping me from reaching the potential that I want to reach and the kind of life that I want to live and having the kind of impact that I want to have. I can't, because I've gone out, I've become an actor, and I've been in film, and I've been on TV, and I've done all these things, but not to the point that I wanted. And I've gone out and studied a million things, and I've become an artist and an actor and a writer and a technical writer, and I can design websites, and there's a million things I can do, and yet somehow I never quite get to established. So I stumbled back across these words, I can't. Here's what you do with upstream and downstream for this exercise. And I highly recommend you try this for yourself. You make a statement of fact about what it is that you've now identified that you feel. Let me demonstrate. I wrote, I have practiced I can't for a very long time, so I know really well how to try and fail and how to do a lot, but never quite get there. Okay, statement of what I'm feeling. Now, the point of this is to keep switching yourself just a little bit downstream, meaning that you're going to feel a little happier, a little better. And something's going to pull you. But when you do that, you're putting yourself into a current that pulls you quicker into better feeling places. Okay. When you have upstream thoughts, you can feel it. You can feel it in your body. You can feel a heaviness or a pulling back, or you can feel it. And this is not about, oh, good thoughts are better, downstream thoughts are better than upstream. This is about getting aware of two things. That as you're doing this, you are permanently changing your point of attraction, permanently. And second of all, that you are learning. You are learning. It's just like meditation. You're learning to keep turning towards something that's a little bit better, just a tiny bit. So let me again demonstrate. So here I had my statement, which wasn't a very upstream statement, right? Like, I know how to try and fail. It's not, I mean, that's not a downstream statement. That's a sort of let me row upstream and get nowhere. So I'm reaching for a better feeling thought. And I say, I'm glad to know, though, that this is not a solid state of affairs. I can change this by changing my emotions, which I'm doing by writing right now. Now, that's my better feeling thought. Okay, that's the other thing that makes this genius, is it's so individual. You will find much more intimacy with yourself by doing this kind of work. It is really surprising. Okay, so that phrase is more of a little bit more downstream, right? And then, because I spent a few seconds on that, I spent a little time on that one, I got a little help from Law of Attraction, and it said, I've never tried this before with this core issue, so this is really exciting. And I was honest to God excited. Well, that's downstream, right? That's the energy going, yeah, we'll take you. And then I became aware of a feeling inside that went, no. And I wrote, it makes me a little nervous. So upstream or downstream? It's a little upstream, right? And then I wrote, but it's the kind of nervousness that I feel before walking onto a stage. Now I love that kind of nervousness. So it's a little bit downstream. What's happening? Do you see what's happening with the practice of, oh, I'm learning to feel what I feel now. I'm learning to be very simple, authentic, humble. And I'm learning to give up that I'm right and wrong or wrong. And I'm learning to go into that place, which would be our Godness, the kindness, the compassion to ourselves, the feeling better, the attracting of all of the good that we keep saying is all here for us. We keep saying it's all right here. And that somehow we're not getting it. This practice, it's not the only one, of course, but this practice of practicing in the now to just feel a little better, that is opening to the divine. That is opening to the grace. So does that make sense? I'm going to open this and see if, because I haven't been able to look at any of you. Does that make some kind of sense to people? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, great. So we really, the thought I want to offer to you is twofold. You are already an amazing being. You are made of God's stuff, and you are also made of star stuff. If you listen to that guy, what's his name? Neil something or other, this amazing guy who talks about the stars, and we are literally made of everything that's ever been, our bodies. So we have access. And because we're human and we can reflect, it is all about the emotion. It is all about the feeling. And it is all about giving that a shot so that you can feel your oneness now, right now, and right now. And it doesn't mean that you're going to have a full epiphany and now you're going to be in bliss every second of your life, but you're going to have a heck of a lot more bliss in your life. And I can testify to that because that is what's happening for me. That is what's happening. And that is amazing. And it's what has to happen if we want to cross that bridge from trying and efforting and working toward to allowing it now and now and now. Just allowing it. So all of that is not just food for thought, it's food for feeling. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, God, for having brought us together today, for enabling us to share new learnings, to hear a wonderful talk from Lori Kay. Thank you for lifting each of us up a little closer to total connection with you, for brightening your spirit within us so we can hear you and feel you better, for enabling us to walk within you and radiate you to the whole world. Help us as we depart from here to be in your service, lifting up the world, to continue growing in you and through you, and more knowledgeable and more connected with you. For all the good you've given us, all the good that you are about to bring us, we say thank you. For guiding our steps so that we can grow in greater wisdom and in your service through this coming week, we say thank you. We give you full credit for all the good that enters our lives each and every day. We say thank you, thank you, thank you, and amen.